G'day, legends. Welcome back to Roadside, presented by Zwift. This is our Tour de France lift out. We're recapping stages 3 to 6, or Tuesday to Thursday, and of course, talking about the weekend to come as well. Tommy, this beginning of the Tour de France has been chaos, but I have to say the tour organisers have done a great job these first 6 stages with this stage design. I think they've just nailed it and created some really interesting racing scenarios so far.
Yeah, they certainly have. They've the funny thing about it, and I think Harry Sweeney touched on it as well before the start of stage 6 today. He said they haven't even been that harder stages yet, have they? You know, parkour-wise, it hasn't exactly. There's no big mountains yet, and it's just been so difficult, so stressful. And I'll tell you what, mate, it's been so bloody entertaining, hasn't it?
Wait till they see the third week is just filthy. So yeah, they've got a lot of work to do coming up to it. Stage 6 in particular, tonight's stage that we're recording right after the first 80 kilometres of that. There was some TSS locked in, but I think after the first 6 stages, Tom, the thing that really steps into my mind is the fact that on their preferred terrain, Pogačar, Vingegaard, Remco, and Van der Poel, they are just on another league of their own. There's nobody that can touch them. And I think the organisers have done a good job so far this week, making sure these stages are catered to their ability so we get to see them thrown down.
I don't know. I don't know if I like it that much, to be honest, because how much do we see of the list you just mentioned? We will see them feature prominently in the second, the third week, obviously, maybe excluding Van der Poel. But just the ability that Pogačar has, and now Jonas, evidently, with his 1 minute power, to be able to feature in these sort of stages. Beforehand, it was always just survive. And, it was an Alaphilippe cleaning it up, or, I know in the years gone by, it was Gilbert. And now it's just the GC guys this good. And they're willing to fight this early in the Grand Tour. It's certainly different. I wouldn't mind seeing it. Yeah, those guys can just bugger off a little bit and just maybe cruise a little bit. Let's see someone else. How entertaining would it be, just seeing someone like Kevin Vauquelin without a Pogačar there, or the Pogačar at that level?
He was one who was motivated this week as well. We've definitely unearthed a new talent there as well. Our Tour de France coverage is brought to you by Quad Lock this year, everyone. You can use Roadside 10 to support the pod. It gives you 10% off Quad Lock products. 10%, that's nothing. It's absolute dog shit. But it's all about supporting the pod. They can see who uses the code. So get yourself a phone case. That's the best product I think they make. We've got them here. Tommy, I've still
Where's
got
mine?
It's right here, mate.
Mate, you're going to give it away. You're going to have it sold on Marketplace before the tour's over.
It's an iPhone 11 case, mate. Nobody's got that. So even if I wanted to give it away, you're the only one. But with big thanks to Quadlock. And you can still enter the reel on our Instagram at Roadside Cycling Podcast on Instagram. Comment on our latest reel with the Quadlock video, and we'll pick a comment from that reel to win a $200 voucher to Quadlock, and you get all your accessories. And when you use that voucher, you can still use the code, I'm pretty sure. And also, Tom, something new that we've done for our Tour de France coverage this year with Roadside has been our live streams this week. We did 2 this week, and they were a real big success. So I think we'll do a couple more.
What metrics are you measuring those by, man? What metrics are you applying to that word success?
Well, we had a lot of people tuning in. Commenting. We're doing about an hour watch along. So the idea, if you don't know what these are, everyone, is that you bring up your feed, so SBS or NBC or wherever you're watching from, and then you tune into our YouTube watch along, and you can either mute your commentators on your TV screen of the racing and listen to us as we watch it all together, or you can have it on the background and we just talk some shit. You can ask questions in the chat. It's actually a lot of fun. So keep an eye out on our YouTube channel. I'll schedule the stages that we'll do next week, and we can have a bit of fun on there. And you can sledge Tommy for having the oldest iPhone known to man.
If you've got a spare one floating around above the 11, then send it this way, and I'll give you a shout out on the pod. But no, it serves me well, mate. It serves me well. It's been dropped out of the back pocket on the bike that many times. It's still going.
Well, you need the Quadlock bike mount, that's for sure. So let's get stuck into our podcast, Tommy, and let's review this first week of the Tour de France. This is Roadside, presented by Zwift. Okay, Tommy, this is the FE Sports Roadside results recap. We're just laughing about Tommy's iPhone 11 case. Give you guys an update of who's in the jerseys as of stage 6. Matthew Van der Poel returns to yellow after losing it after the time trial day, so he goes back into yellow. Pogacar in the GC has a 42-second lead on Remco and a 1 minute 13 to Vingegaard. We'll just cover them as the main contenders at this stage. The sprint jersey is the big Milan, the big 190-centimeter beast with the third leg. White jersey is Remco Evenepoel, and the polka dots currently is Tim Wellens. So that is the lineup right now, Tom. But stage 3, who took the win on that one?
Yeah, it was my man, Tim Merlier. He got the chocolates over your boy, Johnny Milan, at the start of the tour. I just thought he was going to be the sprint king this year. He teleported to the front of the peloton, which was just a washing machine, wasn't it? It was a chaotic crash field finale. First real bunch sprint, obviously, with stage 1. It was a sprint in the end, but it was a crosswind affected stage. And stage 2, that was just something different entirely. And obviously with stage 3, yeah, that was the first real crack the sprinters were able to have. It's good to see.
Yeah, it was. And I think that head-to-head of Mueller and Milan was very exciting to watch because they did go toe-to-toe. We did see Philipsen leave the tour with that real dramatic crash. That was terrible during the intermediate sprint with Brian Coquard. And so that was
absolutely morbid, wasn't it? There was a little bit of finger pointing going on there as well. You know, we saw Jonas Rickard roll up, teammate with Phillips, and absolutely just spray Coquard. And obviously all he saw was his teammate on the ground because Coquard bounced back into him. You know, and obviously when we've looked at the slow-mo and all that, and a little bit more analysis, you can see that, wow, I can't believe Coquard didn't crash.
Yeah, it was it was very, very lucky. And Coquard is just, reportedly he's devastated, absolutely devastated with, having caused that crash. And apparently his teammates have been trying to sort of lift him up this week because he's been pretty down about what's happened. So, and he's apologised. And anyway, really bad luck, but it does move Caden Groves into potentially being a sprint opportunist for the remaining 2 or 3 sprint stages in the tour. Stage 4, was a really exciting stage. The profile was beautiful. The racing, the last sort of 17 kilometers was raced at warp speed, thanks to who was it? It was Victor Campenaerts and Almeida, Sivakov and Solert, the 2 leading teams dominating. And Pogacar took his 100th pro victory in style ahead of Mathieu van der Poel and Vingegaard. But that was a very, very exciting last hour of stage 3, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was interesting. We actually did the live stream right up until that intermediate sprint point before the climbs kicked off, and I jumped on the maps on the Tour de France page and had a look at the parcours, and you could just see it snake back on itself. And I jumped on Google Maps and I'm looking at the route, and it was just all in these suburban roads, these narrow, gnarly little roads. So there was a little bit of concern, and it was definitely a stage that a lot of the riders and the teams were aware of. Obviously with the climbs coming so late, but the roads themselves with the risks that they presented. But UAE just lined it out early on, and then they just were sort of rolled over the top of by Visma, which was predominantly Campenaerts who drove it into that final climb, the penultimate climb rather. And he just did an amazing job, the big Belgian, exactly what he's been brought across to the team to do. He was there, and, Jonas was just second wheel. There was no one coming around them. And quite frankly, he rode people. He rode, Felix Gall out of the wheel, O'Connor, a host of other names, even Florian Lipowitz, who's in great form. He just rode him out of the wheel.
It was carnage. Yeah, it was absolutely carnage. And the pace that was being set by UAE before that moment as well on stage 4 wasn't exactly pedestrian. They were driving it big time. I think the big attack from Pogacar on that real steep kicker, that it was like a back street. It was like you were going up the hills of Scarborough, and Vingegaard was going full noise, and that was so exciting to watch. And
to see Vingegaard survive, well, not survive, but to answer the challenge was just exhilarating, wasn't it? We all thought, oh, we're in for an absolute doozy of a tour. As soon as he was able to do that, we thought he's found the level.
Yes, and apparently it's been said around the peloton during this tour that was the best ever 2-minute power that Pogacar has ever done, and of course Vingegaard said the same about that was the best minute power he's ever done in his life. So Pogacar took out the victory there ahead of Van der Poel. It was such a good sprint.
Did you think he was going to get there?
Article.
I didn't think he was going to get there when I was watching the sprint. I thought Van der Poel's got this.
Yeah, well, Van der Poel led it out, but I was just comparing it to stage 2, and I was thinking, well, there was not much fatigue on stage 2, which allowed Van der Poel still to be there and be fresh in his sprint, whereas that last 17K, that elicited so much fatigue, and of course, Pog's attack, I thought, yeah, Pog should get this one done. But at the finish line, there was actually a spectator that was shot by a French gendarme, so a police officer from France, who shot him in the leg, the police officer, a spectator, because he had a knife. This guy had a knife in the crowd at the finish line, and there was some sort of brouhaha going on during the stage. And this gendarme popped this guy in the leg and arrested him. So there's a bit of carnage happening in the in the crowds as well. So that's kind of a bit scary. But it just goes to show that there's a big police presence at the tour as well.
Yeah, I quickly saw this one. Didn't really pay too much attention because there wasn't too much more of an outbreak about it. But I just heard that it was just a local menace, was known to local gendarme. Big showgirls in the town, wasn't happy. Anyway, he's fine. People are fine. Tour de France, they're all over it.
Yes, that's stage 5 was the time trial. We watched this with Ernest, and Remco proved once again that he is the best time trialist in the world. You could tell he put a lot of pressure on himself to win.
He did, didn't he?
Discipline. You could see it in the way he was warming up, and you could kind of he'd had a shit first 4 or 5 stages. He'd crashed, he lost times in the crosswinds, but he put a minute into Vingegaard, and he beats Pogacar by around 16, 17 seconds. So that was a comprehensive performance as well by Remco.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? The Olympic champion. He was quite literally just the only way to do it. He was a class above. His setup just looked amazing. His pacing strategy was obviously just, I think, right on point, and he was hitting the right numbers as well. He was going through the first intermediate, and he was just getting spoon-fed the best information by his director. You're up on Pogacar, and then that just drove him onwards into the second and third checkpoint. And I think it was really fascinating. We saw Luke Plapp set sort of the benchmark time for the first intermediate and went out really hard, blew his load. Yeah, precisely. And then how Eduardo Affini rode the time trial where he finished so strongly. I think that really set the tone that it was a back-ended TT. You had to start out, measure your effort, or start out aggressively, get out of town, measure your effort, and then just be vigorous on the way in. And there's a fair bit of breeze around as well. So there's a fair bit of crosswind in the TT. It quickly shows who has done the work on their TT bike, who feels comfortable riding at that speed with the disc and the spoke or the deep dish wheel. And you can quickly get found out.
Oh, yeah. And Remco's bike, I mean, the gold world champ bike, the Olympic gold, the world champ bears, that is just a thing of beauty. And if you lose with that bicycle, like, you need to retire. If you rock up to an event with that bicycle, no, what's funny? Speaking of Platt, one of his great mates, Mr. Hastings, back in Bright, when I was at the Tour of Mansfield a couple of years ago, he's obviously given one of his great mates.
Cash grab by Jethro.
Yeah, it was actually quite a lucrative package, but we had a little road bike TT on stage 1, right, for the Tour of Mansfield, and there's old, I think it's Cameron Hastings. I think so. Hastings is definitely the last name, and he's riding Plapp's old Pinarello bike. And everyone's just riding clip-on bars, like, a 2015 TCR, and there's old mate with the most beautiful $20,000 Euro rig you've ever seen, and I think he got the win as well. So I remember saying to him, I was like, fucking hell, mate, you got to win with that. But Plappy rode a great TT, and I was messaging him after when the last 10 riders were coming in, he messaged me and said, I got to about 15 kilometers into the TT and was like, oh, fuck, I've gone way too hard. can't hold this on. So I
You know
like it.
what?
You got to
I was
go for
thinking,
glory.
I was thinking, oh fuck as well, because all day you prattled on about the financial investments and the lucrative
Ah,
opportunities with the markets who were quite long on Plapp to top 10.
it was
And I
disgraceful.
thought I'll put some money where Jet's mouth is, and that was and then all of a sudden I'm watching this negative split. Yeah, positive. They're positive splits. They're not good splits in the tail end, and then I'm thinking, this is I'm never listening to you ever again. I'm the idiot. I'm the absolute nuffy. But no. Plapp prevailed. And I'll have to buy him a beer next time I see him when he's back over here in Perth.
I think so. Back in January, first week of January 2026, he was 176 to 1 to win, and $3 to be in the top 10 is a disgrace. Harry Sweeney was $2.75 to be in the top 10.
Sweeney was fifth. He was fifth at the individual time trial at the
Mountain
Trip.
TT.
Yes,
Plapp had two top 10 TTs last year's Giro, ahead of a lot of his favourites that were. Anyway, we're getting sidetracked.
Why don't you get on the books for Sportsbet, mate, and run their cycling algorithm?
Well, nobody will win any money because the odds will be too tight. Kevin Vauquelin, he's been the story of this week as well, and his TT was very impressive. And I think with the race being in the region that he's from, Normandy and around this sort of area, he's so motivated to do well. And I think we found a real weapon of a rider.
What do you mean we found? He won a stage of the Tour de France last year. He's won UCI races. He's won Tour. Yeah. No, we haven't found anything. He has just announced himself as a genuine leader at a big World Tour team now. He won the stage from the break last year in Italy, or at least in the first week of the tour, and it was a bit of a roll of the dice. Is this star gonna burn out quickly, sort of thing? And what he's done in this first week has proven that no, he's here to stay at this level.
If he didn't ride for such a shit team that nobody cares about, more people would know about him. If he rode for one of the big teams, you're way more prominent and you get more, you're just seen a bit more. That's my personal view. And we'll talk about a rumor with Vauquelin later in the gossip section. Vingegaard, said he had a terrible TT, and we'll talk about that later as well. He shipped a minute.
No, talk about it now. Okay. Talk about it now. Why was he bad?
Well, fuck knows. I don't know. His DS didn't know why he was no good. He said he didn't know why he wasn't feeling any good. He knew the power wasn't the same as the TT that he did at the Dauphiné 4 weeks ago. Maybe, just maybe, doing your all-time ever best 2-minute power the day before potentially just sort of take something out of your legs, whereas Pogacar does those powers all the time.
That result of that ride by him is, by and large, one of the biggest, pieces of action that has occurred in this opening week. It's really set the tone.
Where do you think he would have, like, if all things were equal, where do you think Vingegaard should have finished? Because I would have had him around about 27, 28 seconds behind Pogacar and about 40 seconds to 50 seconds behind Remco. So, like, in my mind, he's only dropped, he's 30 seconds worse than what I thought he would be.
No, I think he's on par with Pogacar in the chrono. Well, I think maybe if this TT was in the third week, it's a very different story for Vingegaard, who is a rider who excels at managing. Obviously he's better when there's load on and everyone's tired and it's third week. He's a third week man. Obviously Pogacar's really good at that as well. But I think Jonas comes into his own a little bit more there. Maybe the freshness of being in this first week, the TT maybe.
Where did you think Vingegaard would have been if he had ridden?
I think he's on par. I think he's on par. If he has a standard day, he's on
16 seconds.
Yeah, I think he's on par with Pogacar.
Really?
Yes.
But he's smaller.
On a flat it doesn't matter. You've seen him. Well, have a look at what he did at the Dauphiné.
Well, Pogacar got it wrong. He didn't get it right. Pogacar got that terribly wrong.
Well, so I'm saying he said he got it wrong, but he also had a bad day in the legs as well. So, like, obviously, you have a bad day in a time trial, you get found out, evidently.
Well, how many seconds behind Remco would you have had Vingegaard on a normal day?
Now, around the same as what Pog would have been. in my opinion.
Okay. And do you think the skin suit that Pogacar had to wear cost Pogacar the win? It was 16 seconds to Remco, and he was obviously in the in the polka dot skin suit.
I am probably the last person you should be putting that question to, mate. I've no idea. I'm sorry. I know there's the aero advantage. I know that the team's put so much time and money into evolving better kit that's faster and slipperier and everything, and they make the gains per watts per kilo. I couldn't tell you.
You should ask your Jayco correspondent. That's what you should ask, and just and see. And speaking of Australians, O'Connor, he rode a pretty good TT as well. Wasn't too bad.
Yeah, it was a gutsy ride. Hey, in all honesty, I think the body's hurting a little bit from that crash. I think, and that was a really gutsy ride as well to get out there and to back himself with the pacing strategy as well. In the first intermediate, he came out and was like, right, legs are feeling it. Let's try and give it a nudge. And where he was, he edged out Onelli and a few other big name riders as well who were right up on the GC. And I think if he obviously didn't crash, he would have produced a better ride. He still would have gone and taken another 10, 15 seconds at the minimum. I think he could have taken a little bit more as well on top of that if he was fresher. Obviously without the crash. But a bloody gutsy ride. Obviously not the result we saw on stage 6 today for him, though. He's still hurting from that. But I'm not too worried.
And stage 6 was, of course, the stage that we're just recording after has just finished, and it was Ben Healy from EF. Easy post. He won his first ever Tour de France stage today from the breakaway in what was a absolutely frenetic first 80 kilometers, watching that breakaway go. And to be honest, if you watch from the start, Ben Healy wanted the breakaway the most. He did not give up. And yeah, it was very, very impressive the way he did it. It took about 85 Ks for the break to establish. We had Storer, we had Simmons, who was also very, very active from the start. Dunbar picked his moment beautifully to bridge across. Van der Poel got in there to Deja, did a good job getting in with just one move, and Barter and Simon Yates were also a part of that. So that was the break, and in the end, Healy went solo, and geez, he's picked up his second Grand Tour victory, Tom.
Yeah, impressive ride from the young man. Hard to think that he's still under 25, 24 years old. He's going to have a bright future ahead. He's only going to get better and better at doing these. Can't wait. Really keen to see what he can do when he gets a clean run at the Ardennes as well. I thought he was going to be a sniff for the Olympics last year, and he certainly rolled the dice with a long-range move. And how he rode today, and also how his team rode today, EF, there was a few moments where there was a group trying to get across multiple times here to that breakaway that was established. And every time EF had someone in there, if it was Valgren or Askren or someone else, they had Askren, not Askren, Valgren was really good. And he was, in those moves, particularly when Vauquelin went and just plugged it up, didn't he? Did a really good job at, the whole team. So for EF, we've had some big teams win stages already at this year's Tour de France. It's good to see, say a mid-team, a team that really relies on success at the Tour, win. I really like to see it. It's bloody good.
And they put a big emphasis on winning stages as opposed to finishing 9th on GC, 5th on GC. And we've talked about it, how I listened to that Jonathan Vortis podcast, and he explained it's on the cycling podcast. So go check that out. It's a really interesting take on the importance and the metrics they get out of winning stages versus, maybe finishing 4th or 5th on GC. So that was really good. He's becoming a real specialist in this terrain now, Healy. He's got a Giro stage. Now he's got a Tour stage. And if he goes to the Vuelta, he could pick up the triple threat. And, Tom, he's actually moved up 25 places on GC. He is 2 minutes and 3 seconds from the jersey as it stands. That's not going to be the only breakaway that he goes in. So he could have a chance in the second week to take yellow. They might be thinking about it because he's well in range now.
Oh, yellow. I think yellow is a bit of a stretch. I almost think obviously they'd take yellow if it comes their way, but I wouldn't be surprised you see him go lose more time tomorrow.
But he's the perfect rider for a GC team to let go because you know he's not going to last in the mountains, and he's not like a threat. He's kind of your perfect one you want to give the jersey to. I mean, Vanderpoel is as well, but we know there's going to be some.
We just saw Pog ride this final climb on stage 6, pretty full noise. They raced it towards the end. Coverage didn't show all of it, but they didn't amble along up that final climb. There were big splits. O'Connor's lost more time. Even Almeida and a few other riders, and Thomas and Rodriguez, they've all lost time as well.
Thomas is just.
Hey.
So Thomas he's just here for a holiday. That bloke.
Oh, him and Roglic, yeah, we'll touch on that later. But yeah, it's a fascinating one, and I think we saw Pog ride full noise again. And he wants to keep yellow. Pog wants yellow, mate. Like I think Pog, if anything, if his team can't ride every day, day in, day out, then he'd turn around to Giannetti at the end of the tour and say, "Get me better riders, get me bigger riders." You know.
So it's only 1 second, isn't it? It's 1 second to Vanderpoel.
Yep.
So Vanderpoel has yellow from just 1 second to Pogacar. So that's really, geez, he was very close to keeping yellow. What about Kevin Vauquelin going on the attack whilst fourth on GC, trying to get in the breakaway? This was no like little tester. He put in a full dig to bridge across to the breakaway when it was pretty much set. It was pretty much done. And then they had the little team radio audio come up with the DSs saying, "Oh, mate, just try and save some. You know, you got to be smart, eh?"
I
love this guy.
The DS in the end, it was so poetically put, wasn't it? He just said, "Hey, Kevin, I love your intention. It's great, but there's bigger fish to fry," and there certainly are, because tomorrow's stage 7, where they finish on the Mer de Breton stage. So they do the Mer twice. So that's a stage that we've seen Vanderpoel win. That's actually when he took yellow a couple of years ago. So that's a stage that Vanderpoel would want to win in yellow. Vauquelin, with the form that he's in at the moment, his name is definitely right up there to obviously have a go. And
that's a must.
I think that's why Poggy wanted yellow. You know, I think tomorrow he would have thought, I would like to win on top of the Mer and be in yellow. So it's good. I like seeing Vanderpoel in yellow for it. It's good. We see Pog in yellow enough.
I tell you what, it's a must-watch stage. The Mer stages are just, they're so good. Back in the day, it used to be Dan Martin was the big killer on the Mer. It was Vilbert before that. It was just, it's going to be amazing to see. Valverde as well, used to love it. But,
the green bullet.
The green bullet, the big cheat, the big dirty cheat. Anyway, also, speaking of legends, Sarah Gigante, we must shout her out because she won a stage of the Giro Femme or Giro Donna last night. I think it's stage 3 or 4 of the race. It was a mount top finish. She absolutely dropped. She dropped Rusa, who just won the Tour of Swiss, and dropped Longo Borghini like a sack of shit and won the mount top finish there. Now she's on third. After that stage, she was third on GC. Then I think she may have lost some time. The crosswinds today, but stage 7, keep your eye out because they're doing a huge mountain climb finish, and she's going to win that by a couple of minutes. So it won't be her.
Exciting.
Yeah, she could win the whole race. I don't know how much time she lost today. I'm just going to have.
I'll tell you right now, young man. Oh, what a ride though! Hey, so she is 2 minutes behind.
Okay. She lost a bit of time, but she was going to win that stage 7 by over a minute. So she could be on the podium there. So well done, Sarah. Always big fans of the OG. FE Sports. We love FE Sports. They look after us. They look after me with lots of goodies, as they do Big Tom with his Pirelli tyres. So you can check out them. Get yourself Pirellis, get yourself some Magine products, some Wahoo products, you name it. They've got it all. We've got our Quad Luck Tour talking points right after this. This is Roadside, presented by Zwift. Okay, it is the Quad Luck Tour talking points. Use Roadside 10 to get 10% off all Quad Luck products and support us here on the pod, and then comment on our reel on Instagram to win a $200 Quad Luck voucher. All you got to do is comment. So if you're listening and you haven't, you just go and do it while you're listening. It's an easy win, and we will only pick a listener to win this prize, not some random internet person. But the GC battle, Tommy, after the TT on stage 5, is the GC over with that time gap that Jonas shipped? He lost a minute, and he's a minute 13 seconds back. Is this all we need to see for the GC for Vingegaard versus Pogačar?
Yeah, we touched on it earlier. Quite literally, the worst possible result, for the punters on the side of the road. Having Jonas and Tadej enter the Pyrenees, say, like 30 seconds apart, would have just been stunning. Would have made, it's a really entertaining race, particularly on the next time trial, which is uphill time trial, 9K uphill. It's only 11K in length. The whole stage would have been really fascinating, real one-on-one battle. My question now is, how does Jonas take time back? How do UAE get squeezed by Visma? And I think we kind of saw it a little bit on stage 6. They put Yates in the break. There was even Victor Campenaerts trying to get across at one point. They're actively applying pressure to UAE. And we saw Pollitt had to ride 80 Ks on the front at a pretty solid rate of knots. And I think it hit 20K to go and he just carked it on the front, said, I'm done. Wellens, you're up. And quite frankly, if it wasn't for Tim Wellens at the moment, Tadej would be, not borderless or without a team, so to speak, but it would have been a lot skinnier. And Narvaez, he might need to step up a little bit. Soler was good, but this is, I think, UAE's plan. They want to try and squeeze Pogačar around on the easier, inverted commas, easier stages if they can, and hope there's a day where there's a bit of breeze or something like that, because it's showing that they have the team, they have the rouleurs here with Wout, Eduardo Affini, Campenaerts to put the whole peloton under pressure. So that could be a day. That could be sort of a weakness for Poggy. And I dare say Jonas, Pog, bring on the Pyrenees. That's going to be the true test, isn't it?
I think Remco has actually a chance of taking second place. I think he's really, really going for second place, because during his TT, they actually started giving him feedback on his time to Jonas, not to Pogačar. So I think it's pretty clear that Remco knows, hey, I can't take time on Pogačar. I'm not going to be able to touch him in those mountains, especially the third week. It's just disgusting, that third week. But maybe, just maybe, Jonas shows some signs of cracking, or he just drops his head, or if there's another time loss in the second week. And I think Remco is just keeping his eye on that second place on the podium. So I think Remco is he's going to be a big element to the GC battle, and it's and how entertaining it may be throughout the rest of this Tour de France. But what about the KOM battle? This is really a jersey that's up for grabs, and it's been quite exciting to watch over the last few years.
Yeah, it certainly has, and even more so tonight. So the fact that Michael Storer got into the breakaway tonight, he's been doing the full gas Steve Cummings, hasn't he? The last 5 stages, even the TT, he's just been out the arse. First rider to pull the parachute, throw the anchor overboard. It's been great to see. I love it, because he's all chipped in on a breakaway. And then even during the stage, we saw him go after the comp points. And you could hear the excitement from the SBS commentary booth, couldn't you? Keynote, no Australians ever won the com jersey. This could be it. Christophe Mallet, he's going off in the background. So I wouldn't mind seeing that, to be honest. He won the com jersey at the Vuelta a couple of years ago, where he took 2 stages. So I'd be really down to see that happen for the big West Aussie.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be tough for anyone but Pogačar to win that polka dot jersey, but just the way the points are weighted. But I do hope that someone like Storer or
you need a genuine GC. You need someone who can do GC to win it, because they've got to be able to get in breaks and then climb and get ahead on the big horse cats to take the points. So
yeah,
I would almost like with the com jersey just to remove the amount of points you get on like a summit finish. Because then it would return to sort of being an offer for the breakaway. And I think you would see a little bit more exciting racing happen.
Yeah, it's an interesting take. And speaking of the jerseys, what about Van der Poel? It looks like he may have an interest in the green jersey as he went for the intermediate sprint, and they set him up into Marche Alpecin on stage 6. So he's got an interest there. He actually got second in the intermediate sprint. He outsprinted Biniam Gourmet just behind Milan, but that shows me that he's actually got a chance to take this jersey with the way. There's not that many sprints in this year's tour.
Your man, you reckon he's locked in? You reckon he's doing it?
Well, you don't do an intermediate sprint if you don't have to on any stage.
That can't be your entire synopsis. You reckon is he going to do it?
Well, all the great classic stars have won a green jersey at the Tour de France. Tom Boonen won the jersey.
He's missing one,
Peter Sagan won the jersey. I mean, the green jersey. Why not? I think there's not that many sprints at this year's tour, so it definitely favours a rider who's more of an all-rounder. Let's not forget, the sprint jersey, exactly, this is my point. The green jersey is not the sprinter's jersey. It is actually designed to be for the most all-round rider throughout the tour. That's the reason why they give sprint jersey points on time trials. It's because they're meant to be the most all-rounded rider. It's the reason why Sagan was able to win it for so many times. He was never the best sprinter at the tour, but he was the most best all-round rider. So
you've got to be able to get points at the finish, though, don't you? So to get it, you have to be finishing top 5 though on sprint stages. And if they do make that shift, then I dare say, if they make that shift, he absolutely could. But I think they have a better chance of winning a stage with Caden.
Yeah, potentially. It's an interesting one, but definitely a watch. So I'm keen to see what happens there. Because the content train will go crazy with him in green. Now the tour gossip, everyone. We've got a nice juicy little nuggets. I love the gossip. I love it.
You do.
The stage 21, the Montmartre stage, which has been a controversial change to the procession on the Champs-Élysées, which I hold the KOM running segment for.
Do you still actually?
I don't have the KOM, but I ran it like 3 a.m. Anyway, doesn't matter.
What, post-kebab?
That stage is something that the riders themselves, many of the riders, mostly the older riders, I must say, are not happy with. And there's been some rumours that the Riders' Union are actually going to go to the commissaires and the ASO organisers during the first rest day after Bastille Day, I believe, or before Bastille Day, and ask that they do something about this stage, change it, either make it safer because they're worried about the safety of this stage. So I think the element that will be put forward to the organisers by the Riders' Union, and this is, I think it is Geraint Thomas, Trentin, and I think Tom Scoinge is the 3 that are in that union who sort of represent the riders. I think they want to neutralise the GC before they get to the Montmartre climbs, the 3-time ascent they do of that. So the GC riders don't have to get in, don't have to endanger themselves on the final, on the final stage.
So what? Okay, so the first Montmartre climb, they do it 3 times. So you're talking 40 Ks out, you just want to neutralise, or 30 Ks to go, you want to neutralise the rest.
Stage 21, all jerseys or the GC would be neutralised. So you still get the stage win, but there are no time changes.
So we're just going to see Jonas or Tade most likely say, and the UAE boys, they're just going to be rolling around from 30 Ks to go. They're just going to roll out the back, 30 Ks to go. So whoever's got the UAE, okay, but say it's not Pog, then say it's Jonas, hypothetical. They're just going to be rolling out the back.
Yes.
They're just going to roll around. They're just going to finish 30 minutes down.
Yeah. Oh, that's what they want.
If that's the case, I understand it, maybe neutralising it or maybe like on the last climb, but you can't just get rid of it. Just get rid of the climb. It's just it is the grand final for the sprinters. Every sprinter wants to win on the Champs, and they're just taking this away. Put it in the bin.
I reckon put those riders, delete them, just take them out of the race. What a bunch of pussies. You don't want to race the last stage because you're scared of 3 climbs and you're worried about your GC. If you're worried about your GC result being taken away by crashing or something when you're doing 3 times climbs, that is the Tour de France. Look what they've raced in the first week of the Tour so far.
No way.
No,
They
you've got to
they're worried
respect.
about the
You've got to
danger.
respect. You've got to. Yes, absolutely. And over the years, there's always been a little bit of danger as they go around the circuit and finish on the chomps, but it's always been managed, respected. And riders, when they hit the last lap and they're ridden out the arse, they're out the arse and they roll through. But yeah, all I can think of is Brad Wiggins leading out second last man for Cav a couple of years ago, and you're not going to have that if with the Montmartre climb. If you neutralise it, you could remove it.
You won't change the racing by neutralising. You still get the same racing result. You're still going to get Pogacar getting led out at the bottom of that climb, attacking full nanas, and Van der Poel in the wheel, Alaphilippe in the wheel, the crowds frothing left and right on the sides, and people nuking themselves to get over the top, regrouping, do it again. It's like a mini classic. And the older riders who are scared of hurting, or the ones who are scared of just being laying it down. Think of all the places they race already. It's so dangerous as it is, and they're worried about this. I just don't get it. So anyway, that's a rumor that is going around. No, this is what cut them some slack.
The boys just want to get stuck into a few.
Tommy, cut them some slack. How much are they getting paid? This is what you get paid the €1 million per season to do, is to race your bike. You don't want to do it? Well, hey, give back the paycheck. That's what I say. That is what I say.
Get rid of this Montmartre climb.
Some transfer news. I would drop you like a stone on the Montmartre climb, Tom. I would drop you like a stone. On the transfer front, Kevin Vauquelin, who's we obviously talked about a lot so far on this episode, he's just been a star of the first week. He's rumoured to go to Ineos Total Energies for 2026, as reported by Gazzetta dello Sport, which is usually your locked-in source. And that makes sense, doesn't it? With Total Energies coming on board, they obviously want a French presence in the team, and that would be a perfect selection to be for them for 2026.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, what a scoop! What a signing this would be, because particularly with Ineos at the moment, their future was just in doubt for so long. And I know, back in the day, things got done in June, July, but deals are done now in May, and for so long their directors or their team management weren't, the principals of the team weren't able to make decisions or signings or give riders concrete deals because they didn't have the team secured. They want to get this guy, and they want to get a host of other riders to try and get around him. Welsford, Gordon, Zana, they're sounding done or closer to done than they are on the other end of the foot, so to speak.
Yeah, very impressive. So it'll be interesting to see how that team stacks up, and then how they used to distribute the leadership as well.
They're missing a GC rider, aren't they? This Remco, the Remco, and this feeds into the Remco rumor mill, which has just been going bananas the last day, hasn't it? Daniel Benson, he's come out, said it's a 70% done deal that Remco goes to Red Bull.
70%.
That's what he said.
What does that mean?
I'm just saying it, what I've read,
All
my
right.
friend.
Okay.
So then you look at that, and then the CEO or the principal of Quickstep came out and said, no, Remco's riding with us next year. So the war of words has just raged on, and I think it's just going to get more and more the better Remco goes. And his dad's going to be asking for more and more as well on the contract.
Oh, his dad will be asking for a signing fee, won't he? He's got no idea, that guy. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. We'll hear more rumors as well as we get closer to August 1st, when all the transfers will be allowed to be announced. That was our episode today, everyone. Thanks for listening. Have you got any final words, Tommy, before we chip off to sleep, because it is 10 past 12 in the morning?
No, I'm pinned. Right now. Pack it up. I'm